Hello everyone, I am Dr. Amrita Sinha and today we'll be discussing the transformer working on no load. The topics to be covered today are assumptions for ideal transformer, that is we'll start with the ideal transformer and slowly we'll come to the practical transformer one by one. So as we are considering only the no load condition today, so after the assumption of the ideal transformer, we'll discuss the ideal transformer on no load. Then the transformer on no load having no winding resistance and reactance. That means we'll take the core as the practical and the windings will be still the ideal one. And finally, we'll come to the transformer on no load with the winding resistance and the reactance. That means the complete practical transformer on no load. Now, what are the different things we consider for an ideal transformer? When we can say that a transformer ideal, this means that we are considering zero winding resistance. That is, both the primary and the secondary coils are purely inductive in nature. The resistance of the primary as well as the secondary winding is zero for an ideal transformer. Zero winding resistance means there will be no heat produced and there will be no copper loss in the windings of the transformer. Infinite permeability of the core. The higher the permeability, the lesser the MMF required for the establishment of the flux in the core of the transformer. That means if permeability is high, very less magnetizing current will be required to magnetize the transformer core. Because you know that as per the previous equations, that is your MMF is given by N into I, that is number of turns into the current, and B is equal to mu H, that is the flux density is equal to mu H, and the flux density is nothing but your flux divided by the cross-sectional area. So it is related to the permeability of the core, and if the permeability is infinite, this means that very less current is required to magnetize the core of the transformer. No leakage flux means that the leakage flux is a part of a magnetic flux which does not link to the secondary winding or the primary winding, and the total flux is concentrated to the core of the transformer. Means whatever flux is being produced by the primary, all the flux is linking to the secondary without any leakage to the neighboring atmosphere. Now, because an ideal transformer has zero winding resistance, infinite permeability of the core, no leakage flux, hence it will have the 100% efficiency. Therefore, an ideal transformer does not have any loss like the hysteresis loss, eddy current loss, and the copper loss, which is normally there in a practical transformer. So the output of an ideal transformer is exactly equal to the input power, that is 100% efficiency. Now over here we have considered the ideal transformer, and this ideal transformer on no load means you are connecting the primary winding to a supply, and that supply is only to magnetize the core, and because your core is also ideal, that is what we have represented in the equivalent circuit. We have represented that an ideal transformer is having N1 is to N2 number of turns, that is N1 is the primary number of turns, N2 is the secondary number of turns, the primary voltage is V1, and once you connect it to the supply, a magnetizing current will be drawn by the primary winding of the transformer, and the flux will be produced in the core of the transformer, which is shown as phi m. Because there is no leakage, so all the flux phi m will be concentrated to the primary and the secondary windings, and therefore the induced EMS will be E1 on the primary side and E2 on the secondary side, and you will get a voltage V2 on the secondary of the transformer. Now we'll draw the phasor diagram. We know that the supply voltage V1 is being applied to the transformer, and because the winding is purely inductive in nature, there is no losses, the core is also ideal, hence only magnetizing current will flow in the primary of the transformer, and that will lag by 90 degrees to the supply voltage. And the flux is produced by the magnetizing current. Hence, the flux and the magnetizing current will be in phase because there is no leakage flux. The coil is pure inductance, no resistance in the coil. Now, after this, we'll have the induced EMF, and we have seen in the equations when we have derived the transformer equation that the induced EMF lag the flux by 90 degrees. So the E1 will lag the flux by 90 degrees, and even the E2, the induced EMF on the secondary side, will also lag the flux by 90 degrees. So this is your ideal transformer on no load, and therefore the magnetizing current IM can be given as V1 by XM. And when we have assumed the permeability to be infinite, this means that the reactance will be also infinite, and when the reactance is infinite, this means this magnetizing current will be almost negligible. This what we have concluded from the ideal transformer on no load, that is I0 or the IM. I0 is basically the no load current, and because it is over here only having the magnetizing component, hence we are saying that the no load current lags the supply voltage by 90 degrees because the coil is purely inductive. The power supplied from the source is given by V1 I0 cos phi, and because phi is equal to 90 degrees, this means the power supplied from the source is almost zero. The result is a natural consequence of assumption that the transformer is lossless, and there will be no copper loss in the transformer windings because the resistance of the winding is zero, and the I0 will be given as V1 by X0, where X0 is the reactance of the transformer, or you can say that because the reactance of the transformer is the infinite and it is connected in parallel, so the I0 will be also very less. Now we are considering a transformer which is having no winding resistance and no leakage reactance. That means the winding is not ideal. Winding is still ideal, but the core is not ideal. We'll have the core losses in the transformer, and therefore we have drawn the equivalent circuit as showing XM as the previous one, that is the reactance of the core, which is given by magnetizing reactance, and in parallel to this we have got a new component RC, which represents the core losses in the transformer, and the core loss consists of the eddy current loss as well as the hysteresis loss in the core of the transformer. Now this V1 is the supply which is connected to the primary winding. Now when you connect a primary winding to the voltage, the supply drawn from the transformer will be I0, that is the no load current. The no load current will have two components, the core loss component and the magnetizing component, with a phasor difference of 90 degrees. And because the same flux will be linking to the primary winding as well as the secondary winding, hence the induced EMF on the secondary side will be E2, and a voltage V2 will be present on the secondary winding of the transformer. Now we'll draw the phasor diagram and then we'll come to the derivation. Again, we have given the supply voltage because we are considering still the ideal transformer, not totally ideal. So we'll have the supply voltage and the flux will lag the supply voltage by 90 degrees. So flux is lagging the supply voltage by 90 degrees and the induced EMF will lag the flux by 90 degrees. This means V1 and E1 are in direct opposition. Then we'll have the induced EMF on the secondary side also. But now the current drawn by the primary winding is the no load current, and it is lagging behind the supply voltage by an angle phi 0. Initially, when we have taken the core as the ideal one, the no load current was only the magnetizing component of the current, that is just to magnetize the core, and therefore the no load current was lagging the supply voltage by exactly 90 degrees. But now because we have considered the core as a practical one, that means the core losses will be present in the core of the transformer. The core is not ideal. The permeability of the material is not infinite, but it is a practical transformer having some value of mu r, and mu 0 is constant. Therefore, this no load current will lag the supply voltage by an angle phi 0, which is almost close to 90, but not 90. Now, because this phi 0 is not exactly 90, so we'll have the two components of the no load current. One is the magnetizing component, and the first is the core loss component, that is IC will be equal to I0 cos phi 0, and the other one will be the magnetizing component, that will be I0 sin phi 0, and therefore you will have the two components of the no load current. The magnetizing component is responsible for the magnetization of the core, while core loss component is responsible for the core losses in the transformer, in the transformer core, that is the hysteresis loss as well as the eddy current loss. Both commonly are known as the core losses in the transformer. So when you say that your magnetizing component is equal to I0 sin phi 0 and the core loss component is I0 cos phi 0, so I0 can be computed as under root of the magnetizing component square plus the core loss component square, and the no load power factor cos phi 0 can be calculated as the core loss component divided by the no load current, and the no load power input will be equal to now V1 I0 cos phi 0. While in the ideal case we had considered phi 0 to be 90 degrees, and so we said almost negligible power is drawn from the supply side when it is an ideal transformer. But practically, because there will be some core losses taking place in the transformer, therefore even at no load, when we have not connected any load to the transformer, still the power drawn from the input will be equal to V1 I0 cos phi 0. Now we are going to consider the practical transformer. Practical transformer means now the winding of the transformers are also not ideal. So the primary winding will have some resistance, the secondary winding will have some resistance, the leakage reactance of the primary winding will be there, the leakage reactance of the secondary winding will be there. That leakage reactance means that whatever flux is being produced by the primary winding, all the flux is not linking to the windings what is present in the core. So we can say that if R1 is the resistance of the primary winding and X1 is the leakage reactance of the primary winding, the impedance can be given as Z1 is equal to R1 plus JX1. And therefore, the supply voltage has to supply this drop R1X1, and then the I0 current will be divided into two components, the core loss component and the magnetizing component, and you will have an induced EMF on the primary side of the transformer, that is E1. So the V1 will be supplying the drop, the voltage drop, as well as the induced EMF. So V1 is equal to your E1 plus the drop in the transformer, that is I0 into R1X1. And because secondary side is not connected to load, so the current I2 is equal to 0, and if current I2 is equal to 0, this means there will be no drop on the secondary side. So secondary side is still your induced EMF is equal to the secondary voltage. Now we'll try to draw the phasor diagram. Now because the primary voltage is supplying both the induced EMF and the flux and the drop in the primary winding, therefore the reference has to be taken as the flux, and the flux reference what we have seen before, that is the 0 degrees, and therefore the flux will be taken in the horizontal x-axis direction. Now after drawing the flux, we will draw the induced EMF, that is the induced EMF on the primary side will lag the flux by 90 degrees, and the secondary induced EMF will be also lagging the flux by 90 degrees because the same flux is linking to the primary winding as well as the secondary winding. Then we'll have the just opposition to E1 will be minus E1, and the primary voltage is supplying the induced EMF as well as the drop. So we'll add the drops to the minus E1, and we'll get the primary voltage V1. Now we'll see the no load current. The no load current will be as previous because the core was practical even before this condition. Therefore, the no load current will remain the same as before. So this is your no load current lagging the induced EMF by a angle phi 0, which is not 90 degree, but somewhere near to 90 degree only, because practical transformers also have got a very low no load power factor. That means the current drawn when there is no load on the transformer almost lags the voltage by 80 degrees to 70 degrees something. So it is almost equal to, cos phi will be almost equal to 0.9 or cos 0 is equal to 1. So it will be somewhere around that. Now we'll have the two components, the core loss component and the magnetizing component of the no load current. So the derivations what we have written is the same as before because the core losses are the same. But now we have to add the drops. Now how do we add the drops on the primary side? The resistive drop will be in phase with the current. Therefore, this I0R1, that is the drop in the resistance, voltage drop in the resistance, will be in phase with the no load current. So we have drawn in parallel to the no load current the voltage drop as I0R1. Then we have to add the reactance drop. The reactance drop will be at 90 degrees to the resistive drop because we write the impedance as R1 plus JX1. So J means the 90 degree phasor difference of the reactance, and therefore at 90 degrees you will have the reactance drop. And now we will join from the reference origin to this E1 plus I0 R1 plus I0 X1. You will get the supply voltage V1. So V1 is given as E1 plus I1 into R1 plus JX1. So this is how you draw the phasor diagram and you take the equivalent circuits of the transformer for practical considerations. Therefore, we have concluded today that what are the assumptions for an ideal transformer. Then we consider an ideal transformer on no load. Then transformer on no load having no winding resistance and reactance, that is only the core is practical. And then we discuss finally the practical transformer under no load condition with winding resistance, winding reactance, and the core also practical. Thank you.